If you don't have the budget, you won't be able to make a dent. Hello everybody, welcome to Search. This week we will talk about e-commerce performance marketing. This is a question that we get from our clients as well as prospects a lot. And as a business owner, of course, it makes sense. You don't really want to pay for marketing. If your budget is $5,000, $10,000 a month, that adds up. So a lot of e-commerce owners and e-commerce businesses are looking at different options because scaling in e-commerce is very difficult. Scaling in e-commerce is difficult because whatever money you make, you have to put it back into inventory. And the budgets could be sometimes limited when it comes to marketing and a new client acquisition. So again, the question comes to us, says, can you guys, I have this hot product, I have this great product. Can you guys do marketing for me on a pay for performance model? And if somebody comes to us, Joe, and says, hey, you guys only get paid when you get me sales, what do you say?
Well, first I need to analyze the product, right? Are they the brand? Are they the manufacturer? Again, we need to look at their margins. What are their margins? What are their sales looking like? It needs to make sense for us in order for us to take that on. Because again, we're risking a lot, right? We're the ones who are putting in our own money to try to get them more sales. So if we don't believe in the product, if we don't believe in the brand, it's not going to work out. So we're going to look at multiple things. Again, we're going to look at, is this a trending product? Is this a hot product? Where is it being sold? Is it being sold by other companies? Ideally, we would want exclusive rights to selling that product, right? We don't want other companies or other, agencies selling that product as well. So these are the types of things that we look at to make sure that this product or brand makes sense for a pay-per-performance model.
If you're asking, hey, can I approach an agency or can I approach you guys for pay-for-performance e-commerce marketing? Here are some of the things that we'll say. Number one, you have to be an established brand. If you are not an established brand, you have to have a product that cures cancer, right? So I'm saying that, and I'm exaggerating it, but you have to have a really hot product. So you have to have an established brand, a hot product, or both. If you don't have this, we won't be able to help you because nowadays e-commerce is very competitive. All the small and medium-sized businesses are competing with giants like Walmart, Amazon, Jet, Wayfair, House, and you just don't have enough. If you don't have the budget, you won't be able to make a dent, right? And we have to put the budget. And the only way we can put the budget is if we can basically make, let's say the product costs $5, and let's say we sell it at $10. So we're making $5 for you every sale. We got to be able to make sure that our ad spend is covered by whatever percentage we're going to get from that sale. So that's why you have to be the brand and you have to have a hot product. Now, on top of those two, we have a couple of different models. We have a model where you pay for the ad spend as the business owner and we won't get paid for our services until we actually generate sales. We have another model where we will actually cover the ad spend for a percentage. That percentage will be higher and we won't get paid for our services until you make a sale. But those kinds of relationships, again, it doesn't matter if you do it with Optimum 7 or if you do it with another agency or another performance marketing company, we're going to ask for a high commission on the product when we sell those products. We won't be liable for returns, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, it is possible for you to do pay for performance marketing on e-commerce products and e-commerce sales. However, bear in mind that in the long term, you're actually going to be paying us a lot more money if you have a hot product and if you are the brand than if you paid for these services out of pocket. And a lot of people don't understand that. Now, it has to make sense from a business standpoint for both sides. Joe, so talk about the different types of industries that we've done this with successfully.
So we've done it in multiple industries, and quite frankly, we could do it in any industry. But the one, or actually two things that we really look at are average order value, right? Are these high ticket items? Mm-hmm. And we look at customer lifetime value. Is this going to generate recurring business? Is this maybe a subscription product? Is this something that has a certain lifespan that we know the customer is going to want to re-up? So those are really the key metrics that we look at, because then that's going to justify our initial ad spend because we know we're going to see that return on the back end.
Got it. So think about this as this. If I'm selling a $100 product and I make $50 on that product as the business owner, I can afford to give $20 to an agency like Optimum 7, and I'm going to make $30 instead of $50. It's a good deal for Optimum 7 because Optimum 7 will get 20% off of the sale price. It's a hot product. I am the brand, or I manufacture this. I control the supply of this product, so I will not run out, right? So it's attractive to a company like Optimum 7 as well. But on top of all of that, if I have recurring possibility, like if it's a perfume and 3 months later, 4 months later, that person is going to need to buy that perfume or that cologne again, it becomes more attractive to us. Because as Optimum 7, we're making $20 from every sale. I need to have that sale cost less than $20 to make any money. And ideally, I want my CPA, which is my cost per acquisition or cost per sale, to be $10. That means that I can spend $10 to make $20, which is a good deal for me as Optimum 7, as the pay-for-performance marketing agency. So if you have a product and your average order volume is less than $50, unless it's an incredibly hot product, we're not going to involve ourselves with that, because average CPC is $4 on Google. Average CPC is $1 on Facebook. To get 100 clicks on Facebook, that cost me $100. And for my CPA to be lower than whatever I'm going to make on a $50 sale with 20% commission, which is $10, stick with me here. I'm not going to make money, because then I need to have 10% conversions on $100 with $1 CPC to be able to even break even. That's why high ticket items are important for us, as well as the returning business from these clients. Now, we're talking about paid ads, right, Joe? So we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about AdWords, maybe some retargeting to the bottom of the funnel. We bring in new people from the top of the funnel, and then we filter them to bottom of the funnel, and we just open that up, and we go nuts to get the orders. How about SEO? Let's talk about some other mediums. Can an agency do pure pay for performance on content marketing or an SEO?
It's a lot more difficult, right? For multiple reasons. One being the tracking, right? It's very difficult to track these metrics when it comes to SEO. So I would say that it's definitely possible, but it's far more difficult in terms of the setup that needs to go into it to be able to track all of this properly. So you're going to need to tag every single URL from every single piece of content that you create, opposed to the existing content that was on the site. You need to track every single effort, whether you pushed a backlink, whether you pushed a new piece of content, whether anything that you do from an SEO standpoint, you need to put your little mark on it. So that way you can justify that sale and that transaction and attribute it. Correct.
Got it. So at Optimum 7, we don't do pure pay-for-performance SEO, but we have deals with certain brands. These brands are usually doing over $5 million annually, where we have pay-for-performance deals, but we'll charge a lower base, and then we'll base the pay-for-performance for SEO or for content marketing based on increase in organic traffic, increase in ranks, and a couple of other metrics with conversions, because we actually pay attention to conversions as well.
And I've seen a lot, the majority of SEO pay-per-performance models I've seen have been on a ranking basis, right? They never even scrape the surface of a conversion standpoint just because of the difficulties of tracking. So a lot of times you'll see, I guarantee X amount of keywords on page 1 for this amount, and then X amount on page 2 for this amount, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, that's one way of doing it, but that will never translate into dollars.
Correct. So, I could rank you for 1,000 terms on page 1 of Google, but if they are not by terms, it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
Right. And then again, nobody can really guarantee rankings. What we do is we guarantee increase in business, increase in traffic, increase in conversions. From an e-commerce standpoint, again, I say this often, it's hard to double your traffic, but it's a lot more efficient and actually easier to try to double your conversion rates, because there's a lot of lowest hanging fruit there. So we talked about paid, we talked about SEO. Are there any other mediums that you would look at from a pay for performance standpoint? What about lead generation? I mean, 90% of what we do at Optimum 7 is e-commerce, but would you get into something like this where you do pay per lead for some clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it comes down to pay per lead is great for us, right? But it comes to the business owner. Does that make sense for them? Because they now need to analyze these leads. Are they qualified leads? What is their conversion rate on these leads? And if they're not qualified leads and they're not converting any of them, and it could not be our fault, it could be that their sales team just isn't that great, but they'll stop. They won't continue with those services. So from that standpoint, pay per lead, it makes sense. Makes sense if you're an attorney. It makes sense if you're a dentist. So there are multiple industries that it makes sense, but it depends on your entire operation.
Yeah. So if you're not able to close the sales, or if you don't have a good sales team to actually turn those leads into a sale, it doesn't matter if we give leads to you at $2 a pop. You're not going to be able to make any money. So going back to e-commerce for performance marketing, at Optimum 7, we do this with certain types of brand. As a final note, I'll give you kind of like a breakdown. If you're doing less than $2 million in annual revenue, it's not that attractive to us. If you're doing more than 2 million, if you're doing 2 to 5, it becomes a lot more attractive. If you're doing 5 to 10, again, more attractive. If you're doing more than $10 million and not really paying attention to remarketing or retargeting, or especially retargeting bottom of the funnel, that's very attractive to us because we know that we can get more sales for you there. And also, again, you have to be the brand, you have to have a hot product, and ideally we want to see search volume for your brand out there because we can turn that search volume into conversions for you. That's it for e-commerce pay for performance marketing. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll talk to you guys next week.